Although some talk about an historical milestone, the Canelo-Ryder is yet another inconsequential fight with an overwhelming favorite. The excuses are the same as always, the same ones we have heard 1,000 times, although on this occasion an attempt has been made to paint it with a shiny layer on top through absurd justifications. In summary, yesterday it was confirmed that Mexican Saul Canelo Alvarez will defend his 4 super middleweight world belts, that is, the undisputed title, against British John the Gorilla Ryder. The bout will take place at the Estadio Akron in Zapopan, Mexico, on May 6. Therefore, as always, the announcement was accompanied by excessive enthusiasm on the part of Matchroom Boxing and its related media, which have referred to the fight as a great matchup in which Canelo will face an elite contender. However, as the propagandists have considered this was not enough, they have directly stated things like that the fight is a milestone in the history of boxing, or, what is even more ridiculous, that it is one of the best matches that have taken place on Mexican soil in its history. Leaving aside the ignorance of certain experts, the fact is that from a boxing point of view it is a completely tailor-made fight for Canelo. Stylistically speaking, Ryder could not present a more convenient challenge for Alvarez, who will undoubtedly be able to take advantage of his precision and counter skills to impose his power shots against a slow opponent, with poor tactical management and obvious technical limitations. In other words, Canelo will undoubtedly be able to beat an opponent who doesn't even have a remote puncher's chance. Ryder has a 56% in knockout victories. However, if the propagandists were confronted with these facts, then they would go on to point out that, after all, Ryder is the WBA mandatory challenger and Canelo is forced to battle him. However, it should not be overlooked that the organizations have spent years protecting the interests of the promoters and selecting as mandatory challengers boxers who perfectly meet their plans. In fact, in many cases it even seems that the promoter has directly called the president of the organization and has asked him to rank a certain boxer as number 1. In this specific case, Eddie Hearn has been talking about a possible Canelo-Ryder fight for years, even when the WBA ordered a David Morrell vs. John Ryder match, who had to reorder several times due to Matchroom Boxing not wanting to risk their boxer against the Cuban. Finally, although it will have been logical that Ryder would have lost his right to fight for the WBA titles due to his refusal to face Morrell, and although the Gorilla even briefly disappeared from the rankings because of it, Eddie Hearn pulled out of his sleeve a fishy WBA eliminator. It is surprising that the sanctioning body gave its approval for it, between the British and a boxer in the last part of his career as Daniel Jacobs. This match was won by Ryder by narrow difference, and thus he achieved a position as mandatory challenger for Canelo that was actually manufactured by Eddie Hearn with the complicity of the WBA. Therefore, saying that Canelo had no choice but to face Ryder and that is not what him or his promoter wants, is not even half true. If all lies are put aside, the bout may even remotely have meaning to some. It is important for Canelo to box again in Mexico. For the fans of his country it will be a special moment to see him fight at home, in a big stadium and with 4 world titles at stake. And undoubtedly for Ryder this will be a bigger clash than he could have imagined at the start of his career, and in it he will receive a purse bigger than all his previous earnings combined. However, for the rest of the world it is one more inconsequential fight, like so many others throughout the year, which takes place after another tailor-made fight for Canelo, the 3rd clash against a finished Golovkin, and which will continue to stagnate the contested super middleweight division in its top. All this at the same time that DAZN, which has not had enough with the exponential increase in the price of its subscriptions, will offer this fight in the United States and Canada through a PPV. Thanks for watching. More info, news and videos at our website.